Welcome back to Hardworking Parents Podcast, where we tackle the beautiful chaos of raising kids while keeping our sanity mostly intact. I'm your host, Curtis, with my good friend.
RJ Horner.
And if you're listening to this at 2 a.m. because your child just woke up for the third time tonight, this episode's for you. If I didn't already say the title, it is Hardworking Parents and How to Beat the Bedtime Battles. Have you any issues with your kids when they're younger, RJ, with going to bed?
Always, listen, I don't know if forcing kids to go to bed is the right thing, but I mean, I know A, we want our parent time, and B, we got to build a routine in them, right? So,
Absolutely.
yeah, but again, the younger years are the hardest, and those are long beyond me at this point. But that's
Yep.
not to say I haven't been through it and don't
Oh, yeah.
understand it.
Some experience, right?
Yeah.
All right. So the great bedtime battles, those nightly negotiations that would make UN diplomats weep. We're talking about bedtime resistance, night walkings, and those beautiful and delightful 5 a.m. wake up calls that nobody, I mean nobody, asked for. Have you ever had that where your kid just randomly walks in the room like, "Hello, Dad,
Listen,
wake
oh
up"?
man, you know how, and the funny thing is, you're dead asleep, right? So, and
Yep.
it's so silent. And we've had to where my daughter would be standing beside our bedside, and then they don't want to disturb you, right? But usually it's because they're sick or they're not feeling well, and then they talk and
Yep.
jump. You nearly jump out of your shorts, right?
Yeah. That's pretty funny. All right, so grab your coffee. It could be your third one of the day. No judgment here. And let's talk about our precious angels turning into insomniacs in the moment we mention the word bedtime. All right, let's go a
Yep.
little thing here. First, let's talk about bedtime resistance. You know what I'm talking about. That magical moment when you announce bedtime and your child suddenly develops the energy of a marathon runner and negotiation skills of a corporate lawyer. I swear, the moment bedtime is mentioned, children gain superpowers. They suddenly remember homework they forgot about 6 hours ago and develop an urgent need to recognize the entire bookshelf or discover that they have a burning question about the meaning of life, or perhaps they need to get some snacks before they go to bed.
Yep. That one was prevalent in my house. Yep.
Yeah, the famous words, but
Couldn't
I'm
have
not
couldn't
tired.
have crackers and apples, an hour ago, but
Yep.
now.
Or the famous, I'm not tired anymore. As soon as you say it, it could be like this on the couch, half asleep.
Yep.
Bedtime's like, oh, what? Oh, can I get a snack? Can I do
Yep.
this? It's like
Yep.
all of a sudden, like like a big emergency comes up, right? For the
Hmm.
child. Like they don't want to do something. Yeah. Where are we? So let's share some greatest hits from Bedtime Delay Tactics Hall of Fame. There's the classic sudden thirst emergency. A child who ignored their water bottle all day suddenly needs 17 different types of beverages, not just any water, but it has to be a special one from the kitchen tap, served in a blue cup at exactly at the right temperature because apparently hydration is very specific requirements at 8 p.m. Then there's there's what I call bathroom marathon. What should be a quick potty break turns into a 20-minute spa retreat. I'm convinced that children discover the bathroom are like diplomatic embassies. Parents can't force remove them from international territory. So I guess in the bathroom doing whatever they got to do, or they find things in the bathroom to do. So he's like, "What's taking them so long?" And my personal favorite is the Existential Crisis Bedtime Special. Nothing says time for sleep like your 5-year-old asking, "Mommy, what happens when we die?" Or "Why can't I remember being a baby?" These are the same kids who can't remember where they put their shoes 5 minutes ago. But at bedtime, they become tiny philosophers.
Yep. 20 questions right at bedtime.
Yep. The key thing to remember here is that resistance is completely normal. Children's brains are wired to be more alert in the evening. It's called the forbidden zone in sleep science. Their bodies are literally fighting against sleep right when we need them to wind down.
Mhm.
And go ahead.
So yeah, I guess this leads into our next segment, but building that routine is the goal here, right?
Yep.
And finding ways to, a lot of parents, they don't spend enough time with the kids in the evening, letting them go off to watch TV for an hour or
Yeah.
two so that they can have, quiet time. No, spend the time with your kids in the evening
Hmm.
so that you tire them out.
Yep.
And then once you've got them down as per their routine, you can have your own time after that.
Yep. Yeah, go to the park, go for a walk or something, right? So they're
Hmm.
not on their device before they go to bed. That's always good. That's a key point.
Yeah.
We've covered that before as well. But consistency is your secret weapon. I know it's exhausting to stick to the same routine night after night, especially when your kid is arguing that technically they could read 17 more books because reading is educational. But the predictable routine becomes their security blanket even when they're fighting against it. So,
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah, you just got to
And
maintain that. Yeah, for
and
sure.
and that's like why, like I say, that 2 hours between dinner and bedtime really has to be the time that you're finding ways to, and there's your break from your routine, you know what I
Yep.
mean? Maybe you get out and go for walks, take them to the park, um read books with them then, right?
Hmm.
Instead of letting them tune into the TV, because that's not um taking a lot of energy from them, right?
Nope.
Use that energy crunch at that time after dinner, burn all those calories,
Yep.
and then by 8 to 8:30, 9 o'clock, now they're exhausted.
Yep. Yep. It helps with digestion too, eh? When you go for a little walk or some
Hmm.
exercise after. Now let's talk about parents' favorite part of the night, the 3 a.m. wake up calls. But because apparently our children have internal alarm clocks that are specific programmed for maximum inconvenience. Picture this. You finally fallen asleep. You're in a deep sleep, that precious REM sleep where you're dreaming about having a full night's rest. When you suddenly hear little feet paddling down the hallway, your child appears at your bedside like a tiny ghost whispering, Mommy or Daddy, I had a bad dream about a purple elephant riding a bicycle.
Hmm.
This this specifically is always impressive, isn't it? It's never just I had a nightmare. It's the full narrative with characters, plot development, and sometimes even sequence. Now I'm worried about the green elements on my motorcycle. Then there's a class I can't find my stuffed animal or perhaps a blanket or whatever comfort the child may have. It's 2 a.m. Your child realizes that Mr. Chompers, the dinosaur, is missing and launches a full scale search and rescue operation. You're stumbling around with a flashlight, moving pillows, checking under beds, only to discover that Mr. Chompers was hiding under the covers the entire time. Plot twist. This happens every single night because Mr. Chompers apparently has commit commitment issues. Oh goodness. One of my favorite midnight mysteries is what I call the phantom potty call. Your fully potty trained child suddenly needs to use the bathroom every 30 minutes. You start to suspect they discovered I need to pee is a magical phrase that gets immediate parental attention and temporary relief from sleep expectations. Have you ever had the kids do that before you? The
Yeah,
bathroom
and
thing?
and yeah, but again, and your job as a parent is to teach your kids to be independent, right? So,
Yep.
by 4 years old, you really shouldn't be escorting them to the bathroom to go pee, right? Even if they wake up, and again, building those routines, building consistency will
Yep.
help avoid a lot of these
Oh yeah, definitely.
crunches.
But they're interesting topics because they've happened to all of us at some point.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, now let's not forget I'm scared of the dark phenomenon. This is the same child who insists on turning off the lights during the day to play Cave Explorer. By now, the friendly darkness has apparently recruited monsters who specifically work the night shift. Here's what I learned about night awakenings.
Excuse me.
Sometimes they develop growth spurts, learning new skills, process big emotions. All this can be disruptive, can disrupt sleep.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's environmental. Maybe they're too hot or too cold, or the neighbor dog just decided to practice its opera career at night.
Hmm. And this is why most people install air conditioning. Again, learn how to keep it at the right temperature, because waking up to open the windows at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then
Yep,
then then you have to wake up at 3:30 because it's too cold in the house. And
yep, yeah, for sure. That's happened. Usually my kid's pretty good. She likes the fan mostly because it's like a white noise and it helps her relax.
I'm the same way. I've slept with a fan since I was an early childhood, and that's the reason. One, there's the white
Oh yeah,
noise, and it keeps me at just the right temperature.
all right on. Yeah, I like to stay warm. Even in summertime, I'll put blankets on. My wife thinks it's funny.
Listen, and the funny thing is, my wife and I are both the exact opposite, right? Like
Oh
I
yeah,
need that cool temperature, and she's Portuguese, so she needs that
warm.
tropical climate. And how do we combine the two in the same bed?
Yep, yep. Some kind of environmental separation thing. I don't know. Just sleep by the window, RJ. All right. But often it's about connection and reassurance. Your child's brain is still developing the ability to self soothe, and sometimes they generally need a quick check in with you to feel safe enough to return to sleep. The key is keeping these nighttime visits boring. I know that sounds harsh, but hear me out. Dim lights, minimal talking, quick comfort, and back to bed. You're not you're not being mean. You're just teaching them that nighttime is for sleeping,
Yeah.
not party time with mom and dad.
I think, and you're right. I think that's the key is keeping it low tone.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But be soothing, be comforting, right? Have that. Hey, baby, how's it going?
Yep.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Hey,
Yeah.
up to bed
Okay.
now
Well, so
type
what's
thing.
the
Yep.
problem? And then okay, I understand. So are we okay to get back to bed? Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Keeping that focus.
Encouraging. Yeah, for sure. Because they should be able to sleep throughout the night, which is very key. Because it disturbs our sleep, and then during the day we may not be at our full capacity. Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. If bedtime
And and
resistance.
and and I will
Yeah, go
say,
ahead.
you know what? Sometimes the inclination is to get upset, right?
Yep.
But try to think about it as just look. They would probably like to be sleeping, but there's things that keeping them
Yeah,
from.
something. Yeah. Who knows
Yeah.
what could be? Just be comforting and say, hey, it's time for back to bed. Go back to bed and give them a hug and kiss, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yep. If bedtime resistance and night wakings weren't fun enough, let's talk about grand finale, early morning wake ups, because nothing says weekend like your child and saying it's morning time and it's 5 a.m. on a Saturday. What
The
about you?
sun's up, so why aren't we?
Yep. Well, some parents like to sleep in. I don't sleep in. I wake up same time every day almost. So I usually beat everybody in, so I don't have that problem generally.
Mhm.
Because when the sun comes up, I have like, is it time to wake up? The sun's up. Must be time. Look outside. It's like, oh, it's like 5 o'clock. It's like, oh, whatever. I'm up now. Go to
And
the
so in
gym or
my
something.
household, my wife was always the caregiver. Like that's just been the way it is. So
Yep.
my kids learned early on that they don't get up until mommy gets up, and mommy doesn't sleep very late. You know what I mean? Or at least she didn't when the kids were
Hmm.
young. But so once the kids are up, which is usually about 6:30 or so,
That's not too bad. Yeah.
you know what I mean. There's a decent time to start your especially on the weekends.
Yep. 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 Cool. I'm convinced that children have a special radar for detecting when parents most need sleep. Weekday, 6:30 a.m. when they need to get ready for school. Good luck at getting them out of bed. Saturday morning when you're dreaming of sleeping until luxury hours of 7 a.m., they're up at dawn, bouncing
Hmm.
off the walls with the energy of a caffeinated kangaroo. My daughter once woke me up at 5 a.m. saying, "Look, mummy, the sun's up." That's what you said earlier.
Hmm.
I stumbled to the window and it was still dark outside. It turns out she had spotted a street lamp and declared it was the sun. I mean, points for optimism, but my body was not ready for this level of
Yeah.
creative timekeeping. That is funny because it's, hey, the sun's out.
Yeah, come on, the sun's up.
It's
Oh, look at
going,
that. Look right there.
that's not the sun, honey. It's pretty funny. All right. Early wake ups can be tricky because sometimes they're caused by external factors, too much light in the room, neighborhood noise, or simply getting enough sleep and their body is naturally waking up. But sometimes their behavior, your child has learned that getting up early means extra one-on-one time with you because probably
Mhm,
during the week they do it.
mhm.
Some things you can do is blackout curtains are your friend. Parents, I'm talking about the kind that would make a vampire feel comfortable. Goodness. And if your child is consistent waking up early, you might need to push bedtime back gradually.
Right.
Sometimes they're overtired with paradoxical causes earlier wake up. So if your kid
Mhm.
goes at 8 and then work them at like 5, maybe try to go 9
Yeah, that's it.
during the
Uh,
weekends.
exactly. Two things here. One, adjust the bedtime schedule, right? If
Yep,
they're try, you know what? If they're not ready and you're fighting them to go to bed at 8:30, so
yep,
try 9 o'clock, right?
yep,
Give them an extra half an hour, knowing that that extra half an hour might wind them down. And then the other things, because you mentioned blackout curtains here, is don't forget night lights, right? Not a lot of kids like complete darkness. So,
yep.
small little night lights to plug in to just give that little illumination so that they can find their way around the room and feel
If need be,
recognized
yep,
in their environment. Yeah.
yep, for sure. All right, how about some survival strategies for sleep deprived parents? All right, we've talked about problems. Now let's talk about solutions. I want to start by saying this. If you're listening to this and feel like a failing because your child doesn't sleep like a mystical good sleeper, you can see on social media, stop right there. You're not failing. Some children naturally are better sleepers than others, and some go through phases where sleep becomes a nemesis.
Mhm,
First up, the bedtime routine. I know everyone talks about this, but there's a reason consistency is like a security blanket for children's brains. Bath, tea, story, bedtime, same order, same night, every night. Even when your child argues that technically you could read the entire library because reading is educational. So yeah, just have the same thing. Even on weekends, do the same thing, right?
mhm.
So because bedtime's at this, just have them go to the room, you should be fine, and they'll just get into that routine of 8:30, 9 o'clock is bedtime, and they'll just do it naturally.
And depending on their age, if they've already started to read or not, you know what I mean?
Yep,
Um, hey, why don't you, okay, you know what? We've read our story. It's time to wind down. You take another book if you still want to read, right?
yep,
You read
hmm
this book and eventually they'll fall asleep reading the book
yep,
that they fought to read.
yep, absolutely. The other one is you can do like a visual schedule with pictures. Helps as well. Sometimes seeing bath, teeth, book, bed, and colorful image will help children understand the non-negotiable sequence of events. Plus, you can point to it when you're too tired to form the coherent sentences, which is, let's be honest, happens to all of us.
Mhm,
Yeah, give your child some control within limits. Would you like to wear a blue pajamas or the red pajamas? This makes them feel involved while you maintain control over important stuff that actually is good for going to bed. So yeah, so just ask them what they want to do, and then if they make that choice, it helps them feel more involved. Instead of hey, put your jammies on, done, or say hey, got a choice of jammies, which one do you want?
mhm,
But make sure you keep it structured, not like 20 different pairs of pajamas,
mhm.
right? 'Cause that can be
And we've
time
talked about
consuming.
some of these solutions in the next part is, the blackout curtains,
Yep,
right? Make
yep,
sure the room is sufficiently dark, no outside, influences,
yep,
white noise like a fan or maybe some of that soothing music,
yep.
right? Um, no loud rock music that's going to
No,
keep them awake and energetic, but just something soothing, quiet, soft. And again, I mentioned the night light,
yep.
but make sure it's dim and just enough to illuminate the room, so stuff like that.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, something we also do is don't have a TV in there if you can, or make sure they're not like doing other things in the room that are not
Right.
productive towards sleep
Yeah.
time.
reading a
Make
book
sure they're outside. Yeah.
reading a book takes some energy. It draws your eyes, draws your mind's focus, and it
Yep.
helps wind down the body. I think that's the best one to try and wind
Yep.
down their day.
Yep. Something we also do is we'll put nighttime meditation on for children
Yep.
from
Same
YouTube.
thing as yeah, same thing
Yeah, it
as some
works.
soft
It works
music,
pretty good.
absolutely.
Within 5 minutes, like, oh, she's sleeping. How
Yep,
nice.
yep,
Then you get the 3 a.m. wake up and say, oh my gosh, why so early?
yep.
But she always goes back to bed, so that's good. The little comfort, and she's good. All right, well, let's wrap it up here, RJ. Before we wrap it up, I want to talk about sleep issues that might need professional attention. If your child consistently has trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, or waking up at appropriate times despite consistent routine and strategies, it might be time to talk to your pediatrician. Sleep disorders are real, and sometimes what looks like defiance is actually a medical issue, which we
Absolutely.
actually did this with our daughter. We actually went to a sleep specialist, and
Because
yeah,
good.
we did turkey pills for a little while with her, just to get her back into the routine.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So you can't ignore some things sometimes. Like, yeah, okay, if children will put up a fuss to go to bedtime. It's
Yep,
a natural thing. They're trying to push that boundary. But let's not forget there are actually some sufficient sleep disorders out there, right? There are people who cannot shut their mind off, so they're constantly thinking.
yep,
And if they're constantly thinking, that means they're constantly awake, right?
absolutely.
Or nightmares, you know what I mean? Nightmares
Yep,
do happen, and if they happen consistently, again, consistency is the key. If these
yep,
things are happening day in and day out, you might want to seek more professional
absolutely.
consultation.
Yep. Yeah, some signs you can watch for is snoring, breathing irregularities during sleep, extreme difficulties waking up, or sleeping that significantly impact your child's daytime behavior and learning. So if they're at school and falling asleep, there's a problem, right? But most of us are dealing with typical childhood sleeping challenges. Remember this, you're not alone in this sleep deprived journey. Every parent has stood in their child's doorway at 3 a.m. wondering if they're raising a future insomniac or just or is it just a phase? The truth is, this too shall pass. The child who currently treats bedtime like an extreme sport will eventually become a teenager who will have to be dragged out of bed with a crowbar and possibly a marching band. You will find yourself nostalgic for days when your biggest problem was your child who was just too excited to sleep. Any comments on the teenager aspect?
Listen, you saw me. I was laughing and clapping because
Yep,
listen, I've been through that one. Trying to, you sometimes you could blow off a bomb in their room and they'd still be sleeping. And
yep,
sometimes I listen. I have literally had that with my son, pull him out of bed.
yeah.
So yeah, we've even had to do the water bucket one time.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh
just
my
he would
gosh.
not respond, would not.
Like
We knew
totally
he's
like
not
dead.
dead, but I mean, for all
Yeah,
intents and purposes, he was. So we
yeah.
threw the water bucket on him. Wow,
Did
that
he wake up?
woke up, got mad, yeah,
Oh my
but
goodness.
got a response we were looking for.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So just be patient with it, right? That's all you got to do, and keep on loving the child no matter what. Just make sure that they could be funny at one time, but just try to help them out. All
Yep.
right, so let's wrap this up. So in today's episode, hardworking parents, remember that you're doing an amazing job, even if it doesn't feel like it, especially when it doesn't feel like it. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, leave us a comment or review, and if you're on YouTube, like and ring the bell so the next time we go live, you can join us. And if you figure out how to get your child sleep through the night consistently, please share your wisdom. Just go to my Facebook page, Hardworking Parents. Would love to hear your comments from there. Next week, we will figure this out during the week, and I'll let you know what's our next topic we want to do. Until then, sweet dreams when you finally get them to bed. And remember, coffee is a parent's best friend, and there's no shame in the 3 a.m. caffeine boost.
Mhm.
So, to end off, I'm Curtis with RJ, and thanks for being here, guys. Any closing words, RJ?
No, I think we've had a great discussion on this one. It was informative yet
Yeah.
enjoyable.
All right, guys. Take care of yourselves. Remember, you've got this, even when it doesn't feel like it. Have a good one. Bye.
Awesome, wonderful.